Hello. So, it's been a while. Let's see, spring break is coming up in a couple of weeks. And some dramatic changes have been happening that I'm really happy they've occurred. So, it's pretty much middle of the semester. I've already had my midterms. And the last chemistry test I got, pretty happy. I got a 96 out of 100 when most everybody else was getting like C's and D's. And then on my statistics exam, I got a B. I got an 80 out of 100, which I'm actually pretty happy about. So I'm not complaining. There's a new guy. His name is Kyle. And he's in my acting class. That's actually how we met. And how it all started is actually a very funny story. And I've told it a bunch of times now, but I really like telling it anyway. So I'm going to tell you guys. It was 2 Fridays ago. So not last Friday, but the Friday before. Where I got the confidence from watching a Jenna Marbles video the night before. So it was Thursday evening. So 2 weeks ago on Thursday, I'm watching a Jenna Marbles video, and she's talking about, well, if you just like the guy, go up and tell them. Be like, hey, I like you. And the worst that can happen is that they're gonna say no. So, because of that, I came up with the idea before I went to bed that I would go up to Kyle and tell him, I like you, and if you asked me out, I wouldn't say no. And I tell my friends, they're all getting super hyped about it. We tried to find him on Facebook and it just didn't work, and then we finally found him through one of his friends who used to live on the floor, who's now his roommate. And I was super excited. I kind of got all dolled up, like I was wearing one of my sweaters. I did my makeup. I wore this lipstick. I had really cute jeans on, and I brought some heels to wear to class and for acting. And I get to acting. There's a sign on the door, but I'm not really reading it because I'm so excited right now because the adrenaline that you get when you're going to do something kind of outrageous, even though there's no one really there to see you perform, you get kind of hyped up. So I go and sit in class, I take off my shoes and everything like that, and I go sit in the classroom and no one's there. I'm like, oh, this is okay, I guess I'm one of the early people. I did get out kind of early. So I start reading my book, and then a fellow classmate by the name of Wild comes in, and he's told by the class that you have to walk through to get to the class for acting. That class is canceled. And I'm like, no! I did not want class to be canceled. I don't see him anywhere else. So I was just like, just my luck. Like, I text that to my friend Jessie. And she's like, I'm sorry. So I start walking back. Wild walks ahead of me. And I'm just like, great. This is fantastic. I'm really disappointed in this. And then I'm thinking, what if I see him on my way back to the dorms? Because I had no classes after this. Because on Fridays, acting is my last class. And lo and behold, as I'm walking back to my dorm, guess who's walking the other way? Kyle! So I tell him that acting is canceled, and he throws a fit. So he's just like, darn it! And so he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, nothing. I'm going to go head back to my dorm. He's like, well, have you been in Craig? Or have you been in Craig, which is the dorm that he lives in? And I'm like, no. He's like, we need to fix that. So we go and hang out in his room for the hour of acting, and then he has a class afterward. And while we're in his room, I get to tell him what I wanted to tell him. And he's like, all right. Like, he's got this huge smile on his face. And so we hang out until he has to go to class, and then I walk back to my dorm, and he goes to class. And then after class, he's like, what are you doing? As he was walking to his class, I said that I Facebook stalked him, which, according to Greer, is not what you're supposed to do when you like a guy, but I did it anyway, and hopefully he found it cute. If not, oh well. So he's like, why don't you friend me, like request me. And I'm like, well, I don't really like technology, and I'd prefer to know the person in person than adding them on Facebook. And he's like, okay, I completely understand that. Like, text messaging is kind of annoying, and I kind of have to agree with that. It is annoying. And so he's like, or at the very end, like, as we're both walking out of Craig, I'll be like, okay, fine, I'll add you on Facebook now. So I did that, and then Facebook's talking some more, and then he Facebook messages me. He's like, hey, what are you doing after this class? And I'm like, nothing. And he's like, do you want to do nothing together? So he comes over to Miller to here, and he meets Jessie, because of course I've been telling her all of this stuff as it's happening. And she comes over, she meets him, we both decide that he is a very attractive young man. And Jessie kind of gets the cue to leave, I guess, or she decided, like, she had to go do homework or something, so she leaves. And he was going to go back to Hamilton, which is about a 45-minute drive here from Missoula south, down the Bitterroot Valley. And he's going to leave at 5:30, and 5:15 rolls around, and he asks me, hey, do you want to come to Hamilton with me? And I'm like, well, how far is it? He's like, 15 minutes. And I'm like, sure. So we go down to Hamilton that night, the first day that we ever hang out, and he's in his mom's Subaru, and we're driving down, and conversation just comes so easily. We're telling each other stories, craziness. Like, he's a wildland firefighter, so the second day that he was on the job, he pretty much saved the day. Like, he's telling me all of these stories where he's just like this phenomenal person who's done so much, and he's only 18, and it's just like, holy crap, you're 18 and you already act like an adult, and you're a dude. Like, that's a big thing kind of now, because I've met so many guys who's just like, no, you're always a child, like, you don't have any maturity levels whatsoever. Conversation's easy, no problem, it's all good. And then he tells me that he's taking his sister to a thing called Radical Reels, which is put on at his high school. And it's basically a film festival for extreme sports. Like, there's extreme snowboarding and skiing, there's mountain biking, and like gliding. So, like, those squirrel suits that you can fly, like, you can propel yourself. Well, you can't propel yourself, but you're gliding on the wind, and you're, like, going down mountains and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. So he picks up his sister at his house with her friend, and they had 3 free tickets, and I took one of those, so Kyle had to pay for his own, and it was like $20. I was like, okay, that works. So we go, and his sister's super chill, and her friend is too, so I got along with his sister, no problem. And he's got a dog. He is a dog named Bear, who's a Pomeranian. And then he has a cat named Monkey. And then recently I found out that he has a goat named Pinky. So anyway, so I meet his animals, and I meet his little sister and her friend, and we go down to the Hamilton High School. And this show was super cool. Like, there's snowboarding, there's hiking, there's mountain biking, there's skiing. It's all extreme sports. Just having a blast. And during intermission, there were baked goods, so I bought some because I was kind of hungry, and he bought some too, and he's like, we'll get dinner afterward. And then the second part of intermission, there was a raffle, and your ticket was your raffle, and when your ticket was called, you're supposed to go like, yeehaw, or something like that. And apparently I can't do a yeehaw correctly, so that is the only account that you'll ever hear me do that again, probably. And his sister won a free lift ticket to Lost Trail Powder Mountain. Like, it's the Lost Trail Mountain Resort, about an hour away from Hamilton, like even further south. And so he was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I win a 5-day pass to Lost Trail. And he's like, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go. You need to take me. Like, I can't go by myself, and I'm not gonna give it up. Like, it's pretty much an inference to take me out on a date again. Like, it's good. And then after the Radical Reels, we go and get dinner at Taco Bell, and the drive-through person is hilarious. Like, Kyle, before we went and got dinner, we went into the parking lot of the closed for the day Kmart parking lot, And Kyle did some drifts, which means he's a good driver, which is kind of a thing that I like. And then we go to Taco Bell and we get our order, and the guy at the the drive-through window is like, "Hey y'all, how you doing? What can I get for you? Like, how's your evening going?" All through the box, and Kyle, of course, is playing along. And it turns out to be so funny that his sister recorded it on her phone. So it was just like perfect. I want to watch the video. And so we get our dinner, and we go back to his house, and I meet his mom. And his mom's pretty chill. I like her a lot. And we explain the pass that I got, and then we head back to Missoula. Best first date. It was awesome. And we pretty much hung out since. And then last weekend we went up to Lost Trail. I learned how to snowboard. It's difficult. And he can go on the powder and double black diamond runs, which means he's really good. But I am extremely happy. So, and everybody's really happy for me. Life is great, and I hope that this story was entertaining enough for you to watch the 11 minutes of me telling it. So, I'll stop for now, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.